Yes. Hello. What are we talking about this month? Whatever you want to. Thank you, Don, because 5 weeks of forgiveness, I don't think I can take it. If you're just joining us, you know the way we do things over here. We have an overarching theme for the year. Our theme is celebrating spiritual community. And every month we celebrate community with a different focus. Last month we did it through loving one another. And this month our focus is through forgiving together. And it's a 5-Sunday week, so we get the extra dose of forgiveness. And why forgiveness? Why would we have that as such an important part of our center's program? Well, it's because of the health benefits. You practice forgiveness and you have this experience of openness to health in the sense of wholeness, aliveness, and feel the flow of even abundance. We talked about how a sense of unforgiveness can feel similar to and be attached to feeling of stuckness even in your finances. They're very similar and probably connected. And also because practicing forgiveness gives us the freedom to be ourselves again, fully, like we're intended to be. Unhook us from events. And also because forgiveness is a skill that we can learn and get better at. So that's why every year in our center we have at least a little bit of forgiveness work so we can check in, see if we're getting better, practice a little bit. And also because practicing forgiveness, well, it promotes deeper relationships. Mature relationships. I think it's because we soften up around other people and ourselves. I'll take any distraction, really. Right now it doesn't take a lot for me to not think about forgiveness. Actually, that's so appropriate. You know why? Because one of the skills we've been talking about around forgiveness is the ability to interrupt our thinking. To suspend an opinion so that we can make space for something fresh, like a breath of air, to come in, to interrupt our story just long enough so that I can step back and see with new eyes. That's one of the important skills we've been talking about. And it's potentially a difficult thing to do if you don't practice it. If you're not in the habit of practicing changing your point of view, it's really easy to get stuck in that rut of how things are supposed to be, how they're supposed to taste, how they're supposed to look, how they're supposed to turn out, and what it all means. So we're going to deal with that a little bit today. So it's story time. I want to read to you a nice long story because it's so eloquently written. I want to read the whole thing to you. It's by one of our guest speakers, Alan Cohen. Some of you will remember him. He came and spoke, and he's writing in this particular piece about a time when he was a guest speaker at a convention, and he got there and the planner was with him at the check-in counter at the hotel and they couldn't find the reservation. You know that. So as I read this to you, I invite you to see if you can find in the story where you are one of the characters. Yes? All right. I couldn't believe it. I was hearing the hotel clerk utter the frequent travel's most dreaded greeting: "We don't have your reservation." I turned to the sponsor of the program I had come to present, and she was upset, and she engaged the clerk in a polite but thinly veiled argument over whose fault it was that the reservation had been lost. At this point, you tense your mouth and jaw. For several minutes, the sponsor told the clerk where and when and how the reservation had been made, and the clerk kept defending herself and the hotel, reiterating that they had no record of any such reservation. Now, the conversation slipped into a tailspin. Finally, I interrupted the debate and said, "Do you have a room for me right now?" A startled look washed over both women's faces. The staff member of the hotel checked her computer and said, "Yes, we do." And we all laughed as we realized that we had become more fascinated with the problem than with the solution. Within minutes, I was stretched out in a comfortable bed as my head nestled into the soft pillow. I considered the vanity of the blame and defense conversation I had witnessed. I've been involved in many of them, he writes. They go round and round, centered on what went wrong and whose fault it is or was. Guilt is traded, blame is shifted, and usually both parties end up feeling worse than when they started off. Breakthrough success experts tell us that problems persist because we ask the wrong questions in attempting to solve them. The critical shift, they suggest, lies in formulating a question that will lead us ahead to the answer rather than to the error. Instead of what went wrong, a more practical question is, what do we need to do now to accomplish what we want? Such refocusing can make all the difference between floundering in the past and succeeding in the present. Well, I wanted to read the whole thing to you because I know I've been in that conversation. You know, I know there are times when I've been hurt or when I'm stuck in a mental point of view or state of unforgiveness and I'm trapped in that hard place. And it's like the writer says, I'm shifting blame around, I'm trading guilt, and I'm just trying to understand how could this happen to me? Because I think that in the understanding, I'll figure it out. And then I notice that the understanding and the shifting and the explanation becomes more important to me than peace. Well, clearly because I'm following it and not peace. I've been stuck on a point of view or two in my life. Painful sometimes, you know, wanting my way of thinking to be witnessed, to be understood, to be accepted, to be agreed, to the point where I can't think of anything else. I get right into that right and wrong space, and I don't interrupt my conversation. I don't interrupt my story. And then I don't allow something new to be possible. And, you know, I'm thinking, well, maybe all the while during those conversations, there is a room for me in the hotel. I could be stretched out peacefully. My head could be on a fluffy pillow. I could be resting. I think it's a Chinese proverb. Anyway, a proverb says, if you keep going in the direction you are walking, you will end up where you are headed. It looks like this. Because I have been in this battle, and that's the key word, battle. Because I've been in this battle to be heard and validated and seen, the road of the battle takes me in one location only. Or because the points I'm arguing, keyword arguing, I feel so justified and I feel they are so right, I realize that the argument takes me to a place, well, that doesn't accomplish the softening of the hardness I feel in my body. Or even if I get what in my mind is justice and I get proven right, I don't always accomplish the peace of mind that I thought would come with it. See, because battle, argument, retaliation, they're all paths that lead to exactly where they're going. And they always take you there. Always. I had the good fortune to be able to watch a teacher, a colleague of mine, when I was learning, as she dealt with people in counseling settings. And I remember once she was dealing with somebody who was going through a particularly messy, painful divorce.